First time I actually interviewed you was down in the Bahamas on the Wild Bunch.
Oh, God.
Remember that? Remember?
Came through the eye of the needle.
Okay, do you want Mr. Holden to sit forward or back? Okay, you just be comfortable.
No, no, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, I just so he's comfortable. That's the main thing. You look great. Okay. Are we rolling?
We're rolling.
All right. Well, William Holden, nice to see you again. And particularly here at the Beverly Hills Hotel. You know, it's not bad, is it?
No, now that I look around, I haven't seen this place in about 40 years. But, I mean, this area. But, very nice.
In S.O.B, you're playing a director.
Uh-huh.
Have you ever played a movie director before?
No, I don't think not a movie director. I played a stage director in country there at the time.
Right, yes. Was there any particular person or several people perhaps who formed the composite of your character in S.O.B?
Well, it is a composite character, but I was reminded, Bob Preston this morning saying, you know, I think that the character of the director was, I forget, he mentioned somebody, an old-time director, and I said, well, you know, everybody is going to interpret it in different ways. It's certainly not Frank Capra, and it's not William Wyler or anything. It's just, it's a Hollywood director.
I think we might be getting just, yeah. Well,
Trying to get with this over here.
there we go. There we go. Okay, this is live on tape television, folks, in case you're wondering. Okay, if we were making a movie, we'd say cut and we'd start over again, but we're not doing that. Bill, this movie, there's a lot of brouhaha about it. Now, when you read the script and when you were making it, in your mind, did you say, hey, Holden, this is really going to open a can of worms and going to really get everybody stirred up in Hollywood?
No, I accepted it on the basis that it's a story. You used the background of Hollywood. It could have been General Motors. It could have been TV. As a few years ago, we did a picture called Network, which was satirical about television. No, I accepted it on the basis that it was a story that took place in Hollywood. It was not to cause any furor or uproar. It was just making a good film. And fortunately, we had just one of the best casts. We all became, Blake has a remarkable sort of talent and ability of bringing everybody together and making them feel that whatever their contribution is, whether they're interpreters or creative people, that they're doing a hell of a job. And we all met sort of a few days before we started, and Richard Mulligan and Bob Preston, and a lot of old-time friends, hadn't seen each other for a long time. And we stayed that way all during the production. It's just a great kind of period of time for all of us.
The Hollywood community is down on the picture. I think that's a generalization we can make. Does that bother you at all?
No, it doesn't bother me, but I don't think the community is down.
You don't?
Well, you have to what does the community consist of, whether it's the executive producers, studios, production or distribution, as against the real community, which are the writers, directors, actors, producers that work for. I don't think the community is down on it at all. But I haven't had any reaction to it. Everyone has enjoyed it and said, there's truth, there's a lot of truth in it.
Indeed.
It's comedic, but it's truth.
Yeah, and the truth hurts, and so a lot of people are going to get uptight about that, I'm sure.
Oh, it's not, I don't think it's that important.
Network, of course, the TV industry the same way when the picture came out, but you survived that, didn't you?
Well, certainly, because, again, you're dealing with basic truth. Whether it's satire or comedy, it's basically the truth that goes on. Of course, Network, the ending of Network was to the extreme. And I guess you might consider that when we put Richard Mulligan in that boat and had that Viking funeral for him, that's extreme, but that's all part of storytelling, of fantasy, I think.
Bill, we all know, of course, your great love for Africa and wildlife and conservation and all that. I wonder, was that just something you kind of accidentally got into, or was it something that was just always there in your life, maybe from the time you were a child?
It must have been, because when I found that particular interest, although I had gone to Africa in 1958 to on a hunting safari, and then I realized that the animal population and certain species were endangered, I became interested in conservation. So, I don't know, perhaps from the first day that I took the Boy Scouts oath or whatever it was, that got me interested in conservation. It certainly was evident from the first moment that I hit Africa, and I find an immense degree of satisfaction and gratification in being able to contribute something to conservation of wildlife and involve myself in it.
What were you doing in Dallas-Fort Worth recently at the wildlife park?
Oh, the International Wildlife Park has 30 Arabian oryx, and we were trying to work out an exchange where we would send them some grevy from the Northern Frontier District of Kenya to the park, and we in turn would take the Arabian oryx for a period of rehabilitation in Africa and then send them back to an Arab country. And Oman has made a bid for this, and they're setting up a reserve and a preserve for these animals. They're terribly endangered. There are only 300 in the world, and we have 10% of them that we can send back to Oman, and hopefully that'll work out this next spring.
Bill, is this conservation work in any sense at all a business with you? In other words, I mean, dollars and cents involved, or?
No. It's a labor of love. My partners and I were listen, we'd love to break even, but it's certainly not done with the intent to capitalize in any sense on it's not a profit-making kind of venture. I mean, if we wanted to make profit, we'd buy IT&T or IBM or some stock and sit back and get whatever came back. No, this is the involvement of your concern, your interest, and in my case, the avocational interest that I have. And as I say, I get a great deal of satisfaction from just doing it. The interest that is paid to you is a way of life.
And I'm sure also that it is a great relief and catharsis to go look at the animals when show business gets a little tough, huh?
That's true.
Okay.
That's true. You get away
Bill,
from it.
Delightful to see you again.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you so much. You don't need to do anything.
No, I was just
okay.
talking about the animal farm I have there.
No, don't talk. Don't talk. All right. Let me give you a couple of questions. Okay. Bill, when you read this script, did you read it with the idea that, boy, this is really going to open a can of worms and a lot of people in Hollywood are going to be down on this picture? Bill, we all know about your great work with conservation and wildlife preservation and so forth. Did that just start as a result of some interest in Africa, or was it always there, maybe even as a kid? You were in Dallas-Fort Worth recently at our wildlife park. What were you doing there? Richard, is there anything on Broadway or behind the scenes of Broadway comparable to what this movie shows about behind the scenes of Hollywood? Okay, that should do it. And thank you all very kindly.